Hello and welcome to JavaScript Evangelist. So in today's video, we are going to create a TypeScript and pure JavaScript based application. This is going to be a purely CLI console based application, and this is what the code will look like at the end of this video. We'll have a Webpack server running. We'll also have Karma and Mocha tests running, and the SRC folder will contain an Oyster Card class. So you will be learning TypeScript, and you'll get a taste of how it is to create an actual application during interviews. This was one of the questions which was asked to me in one of the interviews. I was asked to create an Oyster Card problem. Even if you don't encounter this same problem, it's okay. But what you can learn from this video is how to actually solve a problem, maybe get a taste of creating class-based application which run just only on Chrome's console. And the problem is something like this. We don't have to build any UI. We have to type a minimal code and achieve the following solution. And basically Oyster Card is like a metro card, travel card, where you swipe in, swipe out, and the fare gets deducted from your card. In this case, we have to travel from Metro Tube, Holborn to Earl's Court, and then from Earl's Court to Chelsea, we have to take a bus. Then again from Earl's Court to Hammersmith, we might take a tube again. So we have to charge the Oyster Card based on these conditions. You can pause the video to read through this PDF. Basically, each station is in a different zone. So for example, Holborn is in zone 1, Earl's Court contains zone 1 as well as zone 2, and Wimbledon, Hammersmith 3 and 2 respectively. So fare system is like this. So this is what the actual problem statement is. If we take any bus journey, whether anywhere it is, we have to charge 1.8 euros. If we travel anywhere in zone 1, we have to charge $2.5, 2.5 euros. But at the same time, if we travel any 3 zones, that is 1, 2, 3, we have to charge 3.2 euros. Any zone outside zone 1, 2 euros. Any 2 zones including zone 1, 3 euros. And then any 2 zones excluding zone 1, 2.25. Any 3 zones, 3.20. And as you know, bus. So there is a maximum possible fare 3.20. What the instructor means by this is basically he wants us to charge the maximum possible fare whenever the user swipes in the card in any of the zones. So this is basically a minimal balance should be there in your card to travel. All right, so I'll just close this PDF and let's just head over to code. I'll just quickly show you what my folder contains. So I have a readme, ts config json, webpack config, and package.json. The 2 important files are webpack config and the package.json. Let's open the folder. All right, so once we open the file, you can see I have a package.json file which has few startup scripts, and then I only have dev dependencies. So dev dependencies are something like which will never go to the production code or maybe the final build code. They are just there to run on your local server. If you look at the webpack config, it's a very small file. I'm just using webpack and the path which is provided to us by Node.js. Webpack is a separate package which will be available to us once we run npm install. And you can see the entry file is main.ts. By default, it is looking at the root source folder, that is src, which we have to create. And inside this src, I'm going to have a file over here called main.ts. So eventually we'll go to src folder and it will pick up main.typescript file. Webpack will pick up main.typescript file, and it will output at this folder the bundled JS file, and it will look for all the TypeScript and JS files. And I have disabled few of the rules, and the only main rule which we are looking at is the TS. Awesome TypeScript loader is also used inside your ng CLI, and it basically compiles your TypeScript file into ES6 JavaScript files, and then I have some source map loaders. That's it. So let's get started with writing some TypeScript. So by default, main.js will load. So let's just type some console log over here, console test. Okay, and to run this, of course, basically I haven't done npm install. So let's just quickly do that. Npm install. All right. So after npm install, so basically all the packages has been downloaded into your node modules folder. This should be good to go. And as you know, if you look at my webpack config, it is looking at bundle.js file for the output. So of course we have to have an index file over here, which will basically let us serve the files index.html, and it is going to pick up this bundle. And let's just view that into our browser. So I'm going to run the script called npm start, which basically picks up this line over here with this flags. So I'm just going to head over to terminal and I'm going to type npm start, which runs my webpack dev server, and it's done. So it is running at port 9000. I'm just going to open that into my Chrome. All right, so we see nothing, it's just a test. But if you open the console, you'll be able to see that we get the console test over here, which we typed inside main.typescript file. So let's get started with the main problem. So the problem says as soon as the user swipes in and swipes out, we have to deduct the balance. But first of all, we have to have a class. So I'm looking at something like this. So we are going to start our trip with a new OysterCard class, and we have to refill basically the balance of our trip with a 30 euro balance. And then maybe we'll have to travel something like this. So we might travel trip dot swipe in. So we swipe in at a particular station over here. So maybe I'll call this as station, and maybe this will be something like this. So we are going to start Holborn. Then we are going to pass a type of transport, maybe bus or maybe tube, but in our case it's Holborn. Then after that we swipe out. We swipe out at station Earl's Court. Then this is again a tube. Of course you can't swipe in at tube and then swipe out at bus. It has to be same. So again, all I see is mostly strings over here. I think I'm going to put them into constant, but we'll do that in a few moments. But for now, let's just try to create this class first. And okay, before jumping into this class, what I'm going to do is I'm going to create few constant variable for us. I'll just quickly create this constants for us. So let's just create a new file over here called constants.ts. So which will help us with the type of this burst. So we don't have to type the strings every time. Inside constants, I'm going to export a constant called type, maybe transport. You can call it whatever you want. Since this is a very small application, T is fine for us. All right, so bus is equal to bus. Then we are going to have tube. I think same thing we can do with the all the fares and as well as the stations. So but I think for the transport I'm going to have this constant file, and for the stations I'm going to have a separate file called stations.ts. And what I'm going to do is I'm just going to type in the stations. So basically we'll have constant stations, and it will have different station with the name and the zone. All right, the stations constant over here. So I'm just going to utilize it over here. So we'll just call it stations.Holborn. So we don't make any spelling mistakes in future. If we have to, even if to change the spellings of the Holborn, it will be easy for us. Stations.Earl's Court. All right, and same thing over here. If you look at this T, just a constant. What I feel is instead of passing just a string station, we can pass an object over here. So that is going to be a transport object. So something like this. So maybe I'll call this as bus is equal to new transport. So in future, if we have to add more features to this transport, we can do that easily. All right. So transport, it will accept a string, so bus, and if it is a tube, it will accept the string of tube. So quickly create the transport class as well. Create a file over here called transport.ts file. So this is going to be a class. So in our case, I'm just going to export this, export class transport, and I think this is going to be a default export. So this transport will not have anything else other than this. So this transport has a constructor which accepts a string over here. So this string is basically the mode of transport. So I'll just call it as mode, and we'll have a type over here called this dot underscore what kind of type it is. So it is going to be the mode. I have added this type as an underscore because I want to keep this type as private. So I'll just create that variable over here, type, which is going to be a string. All right, perfect. So again, since this is a private variable, I won't be able to access it outside. So I need to have a getter for that. So I'm just going to add a getter for our type, and it is going to be get type, and I'll just say return type. And you might have noticed that I'm using a capital T. So I followed this convention by using Golang. So whenever anything you have to export, like expose it outside, so which is going to be a public type method or any variable, you have to start that with a capital letter, so which eventually becomes available to public. In our case, get method is always a public method. So let's just quickly utilize this class into our main.typescript file. So I'm just going to import this. All right, so we have a transport which accepts a string. Now over here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pass a tube. So we don't have to say something like this, tube.type. We'll just pass the entire tube over here. We'll just pass the entire transport over here. All right, so let's just quickly jump into our Oyster class now. So we have to create these two methods, swipe in, swipe out, and let's just create a new file called OysterCard.ts, which is going to be a class, and it accepts a constructor. So basically, initially we have to set the balance. So I'll just say amount. So this amount will be a number, which is going to be our starting wallet balance. So maybe I'll just call this as this dot wallet underscore wallet. It is going to be amount. All right, so again, you must have noticed I have added an underscore. Yes, so I have to make it as a private. It is not necessary that you have to add an underscore, but I follow this convention in JavaScript. So any private variable, it gets an underscore. Wallet is going to be a number, but of course, to make this wallet available, accessible outside, we have to have a getter, and just going to call it as wallet, which returns us underscore wallet. We can just set a setter as well. So I'll just call this as set wallet, which accepts an amount, which is going to be a number, and it's eventually wallet is equal to amount. So we can use the same thing over here. So I'll just call it wallet equal to amount. And this is how you use the setter and getter in TypeScript. So far so good. The next method which I'm targeting is the swipe in. At the time of swipe in, we are going to do a few things over here. When we swipe in, again, I'll just make sure I'm using a capital case over here. Yeah, perfect. So swipe in requires you to pass a station. We should know at which station I swiped in. So station is going to be a type of station. So we don't have the type of station yet, but we can just add that to our constants maybe. This export is going to be an interface. Yes. So export station, and this type is going to consist of this guys over here, and I'll just quickly do that. So station name is going to be a type of string. Zone is going to be a type of number array. It will contain numbers inside this array. Alright, so we have a station interface and we are going to utilize it inside our Oyster Card. So this is going to be a type of station, and then afterwards we have a mode of transport. It is going to be a type of transport. It is the same class that we created. So now if you look at the autocomplete over here now, so if I type mode, it automatically gives me type available to me. I'm thinking of whenever I swipe in, we have to charge the maximum possible fare first. So let's just charge max fare. So of course I'm going to have another variable over here called charged fare. All right, so this dot charged fare is going to be the max fare. All right, but what if the mode of the transport was bus? Then we have to we cannot charge him the maximum fare. We have to charge him 1.8 euros. So let's just do that. So if mode dot type is equal to t dot bus, then we'll charge him with the bus fare, that is 1.80. Otherwise we'll charge him 3.20. All right, so charge fare is mode dot type if it is bus, and then we charge him 1.80. All right, so you can see my Visual Studio Code is automatically importing stuff for me. There are a few things to notice over here. What I see is I'm typing out numbers over here, which is bad. We should always store strings and numbers into constant variables. So I think I'll just go ahead and quickly create a constants of fare. So it is going to be inside my constants. And if you remember, we had different fare system. So we had maximum fare, and we had anywhere in zone 1 fare, 1 zone outside zone 1, 2 zone including zone 1, 2 zone in excluding zone 1, 3 zones, and maybe any bus trip. So I'm going to have the same exact thing inside my fares constant. So I'm going to have a constant variable over here called fares, and it will have all the things which I just said. All right, so this is how our fares constant variable looks like, and I'm just going to utilize this inside our OysterCard class swipe in. So whenever it is a bus fare, so I'll just say fares dot any bus trip, and if I have to charge him maximum fares, so I'll just call him fares dot max fare. Then afterwards we have to deduct this fare, but before deducting this fare we have to check if the wallet has the minimum balance or not. So I'm just going to check with the if else condition if wallet has minimum balance that we expect. So if wallet is less than this dot charge fare, then we'll just exit the application. So we'll just return over here. We won't do anything. We'll just give him an error. We are not handling that error over here, but since this is just a console based application, we'll just display that into our console. So we just return from here. And if this is successful, we deduct the balance from his wallet. So this dot wallet is equal to, we have to deduct that balance from our wallet. So wallet minus this dot charged fare. So we have already deducted the maximum possible fare. So if it is equals to, if it is a tube fare, but maybe in future we might add maybe metro or maybe some other type of transport. So we are going to inverse this. If this is not a type of bus, then we'll continue. So I have to store this station somewhere. So we have to be aware of the first station and the second station. So I'm going to have another variable over here. This is going to be a journey. So our journey is going to be an array of station. All right, so our journey, starting journey, will always be this dot journey 0. So this is our starting journey, and this is going to store the station of the swipe in method. So we received a station in swipe in, and I'm just storing that over here. So of course now you know when we swipe out, we are going to store the journey 1 as our swipe out station. All right, but let's just check the swipe out in the next video. So in the next video we are going to cover swipe out and the zones travel. That is going to be a very interesting part. And as well, we have to, once we have the zones travel, we are going to calculate the fare based on the zones travel. So stay tuned, and just to see what we have done so far, let's just run this, and I'm just going to comment this code over here, and let's just import this Oyster Card, and let's just see how it looks into our browser. So of course it is not going to do much. All right, so I pin property one of undefined. All right, so as you can see, it says cannot read property one of undefined. So journey is undefined. Why? We have already defined it over here. No, so we just defined that variable. We didn't assign any value to it. So that's why we are facing this error over here. So I'll just quickly set journey something. Okay, by the way, we have to set this to 0 first. And again, when I initiate the class OysterCard, we have to set the journey as an empty variable, empty array, and as well we have to set the this.charge fare. We have to reset the charge to 0 whenever we initiate the constructor. All right, so I'm just going to save this and just head over to console. Okay, all right, perfect. We don't see any errors. So just for fun, I'm going to console.log test over here. So I'm just going to say console.log over here. Let's just see this in our console log, traveling from Holborn. That's it from this video. And in the next video, we'll work on the swipe out method and as well as the calculation of the fares. And stay tuned. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe to my channel.